Good morning, February the 10th, 2017. This is CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy. Today is day number 6, is the week number 3. It's cold today, 10 degrees Celsius, so it's very good. Let's get started. Good morning, welcome back to this class on a cold morning. I'm glad that you are all here so much on time, many early birds, even earlier than I can. Thank you very much. Today we get into the context of this week number 3, and we would like to make sure you understand the topic we would like to talk about this morning. If you look at the week's topics theme, we're going to talk about something called ethics. And then we would like to introduce to you the idea of social responsibility from an organizational point of view. And after that, since this is the second day of this week, we also need to tell you a little bit about the context of digital divide. So ethics. Now what do we mean by ethics? To introduce you the ethics of discourse in the context of information security and privacy. Let us try to use a little bit on this, okay? You need to think about here we go.
Are you going to upload that photo to the internet?
Sure.
You don't mind people seeing you like that?
Do you think I'm stupid? My pictures can only be seen by my friends on Fiesti.
How many friends do you have on Fiesti?
175.
Are there other people in the photo okay with the picture being uploaded?
Well, if just my buddies can see it, there's no problem. Besides, it was a party. If they let somebody take their picture, it can't be that big a deal. If you get your picture taken, it's to show it off, right?
Okay, but how well do you really know all of your online friends? How do you know you can trust them?
Well, I don't know all of them. Some are good friends, others are acquaintances. But I decide who makes the list.
Right, but any of those 175 people can copy your picture with a single keystroke and then do whatever they want to do with it.
Well, yeah. I guess so. But what would they do that for?
And if those friends share your picture with other people?
Nah, they wouldn't do that.
Have you asked them not to? Do they know that you don't want other people to see that picture? They might think it's just a perfectly normal picture and that you don't care who sees it.
Well, since you put it like that. But you're driving me crazy. You're paranoid. I already configured my privacy settings, and that's enough. What more do you want?
And if someone sneaks into your private zone?
Impossible. They need to steal my password. And I haven't given it to anybody. And I've made it difficult to guess, just in case. Besides, I update my antivirus software all the time to make sure Trojans that could steal them won't get through. You're talking to a pro.
And the other 175, are they also pros? They also do all those steps to make sure their information is secure.
No, but
Your private space that no one can get into doesn't really sound that secure, does it?
in social networks, your online privacy can be affected by others. The privacy of others also depends on you.
Okay, you got the story context. Now, let's continue to get some hints. What can you do to protect your privacy online? We're talking about ethics. These are the technical tips. Maybe too technical for you. Okay, let's start from this video. Okay, let's start from this video. We're talking about ethics, and earlier last week, as you can see that in the last class, Maggie and Samko has already given you some hints of what is meant by information security, and you watch a video called Shed It, and today we're trying to develop from that and to bring you to the context of ethics. Now, ethics, it's a very interesting term. It contains something which regulates what is right or what is wrong, in a sense that you know what you need to do or what you don't need to do, or what is right to do or what is wrong, so not to do it. But it's not law, okay? It's not a law. It's not a law means when you did it, you will not be criminally charged with something. But in a certain sense, today, when we can see what's happening to the judiciary police, they're actually doing something more than what you expect. So ethics is something that, as a person, you know that there is some basic unwritten rule, but we know that because it is something that we could tell right from wrong. So from the important video you just saw on the specific things on computer ethics, online privacy, we would like you to be aware of an important context, that it's whatever you do online, it's something that it's very catchy. It's not just what you do, but when you do it, you will affect a lot of other people. And what other people are going to do or have been doing is going to affect you. I'll give you an example. In the video, the little kid using something called a social media channel would like to upload some photos taken during a party occasions with his or her friends. And they make something funny because they actually have a photo with their underpants on. Normally you would not expose your underpants. Okay, this is something that teenagers love to do in order to just express themselves. And in the process of uploading these photos, the mother of this teenager got a little surprised. What are you going to do? You're going to upload this photo to the social media where not just you can see it, but your friends can see it. I can see it. And the mother asked, how many friends do you have there? 170 something. So the mother said, are you sure all the 170 something friends that you have will be pleased to see this photo? Oh, they're my friends. So the conversation goes on. Now the question is, have you ever taken a photo with you and your friends? I think we do. Every day we do it. Every minute we do it. And And I'm sure each one of us have something like a social media account like Facebook or QQ or WeChat or whatever it is. And I upload photos often enough. Yet, here is a principle for you to think about for the ethics. If in any photo you have taken, you believe it is your photo, but you have actually not taken into account other people in your photo that could be affected by your act of uploading this photo. So, have you violated the privacy with anybody? If you say yes, every day when we read the newspaper, we also see photos with respect to different news story. And those photos are often taken by the reporters team. Okay? If we really need to care so much about the privacy of people, how are we going to report news with photos? Or even with videos? Every day when we watch news, we have news story that is from the screen, right? And so the news story from the screen, you can always see other people's around. So do we need the approval of all these people before we could air the news story? Okay, here comes the interesting question. Is it right to simply upload any photos without any concerns of the parties involved? If you believe it's important, what have you done before that you really have to be accountable for? Okay, so this is a very good question here. And more importantly, if we do not take into account the concern of other people involved, let's look into the key figure. For example, you are the centered persons in the photo. What have you done within the photo will be a permanent memory in the intellect. Okay? Have you ever heard this story? A very promising graduate, okay, he's looking for a job, and now he got an interview. So sitting in front of the room where he's going to have the interview, different people came to have conversations with him. And then towards the end of the interview, he's going to be greeted by the manager of the team. And the manager of the team say a lot of things, and towards the end, the manager asks him a couple of questions. And to his surprise, he actually forgot why he asked questions like this. And then the manager said, just to be polite, we believe that you're not the persons in these positions for some very simple reasons. And the candidate said, for what? I believe I'm quite qualified for that. And the manager said, according to the record on Facebook, a particular day in a particular year, we saw that you did something like this. Can you offer an explanation? Again, they said, what? It's just a simple picture with some funny face. And then the manager believed that because of this simple act, that you definitely show no concerns about the principle of work. And we don't believe that you can make it in this job. Wow. Whatever you do online as a young teenager, leave something on in the internet, even though you might forget it. But when people would like to look for the right candidate for a job, they look into your history in the internet. And they could find anything related to you. They look into your profile. And I doubt if you heard about this. This is also another question of concern. It's the material in the intellect connected with any particular persons, something that is reliable enough for people to use as the basis to judge who you are. That's an ethical question. Do you understand that? So, at any time when we got involved into the intellect work, when we try to look into what we're supposed to do with any particular social media, when we left some traces in the intellect, people will look at it and use it as the basis to give you a particular evaluation, which may not be of any consequence to you during the normal days, but sometime during some critical moments of your career, you got encounters like this, and you have to spend time to defend yourself. And today, what we do, we help students to develop the official side to report who they are, and that is what we call portfolio page throughout a particular period of time. If that does not come from the official portfolio page, you can just disregard it. I don't think it's come from me, okay? That's very interesting. In the particular era of the internet era, when the web is so popular, ethics comes into place. You and I might be manipulated by someone who does not have intentions to hurt you, but he or she might have done something which have direct consequences to what we are going to answer. So privacy means if there is something that belongs to you and you consider as a secret or nothing that could be shared with people, you need to learn how to protect yourself. Okay? When you share with people in the social media, particularly something you said about a particular thing, we ought to be very much cautious, because people might take this as the basis to tell who you are. Okay, if this is what you said, you have to take a personal responsibility. If this is done by someone else in the group of you, and they consider this as a close friend of you, and they know who you are, that is a difficult thing, particularly sharing pictures of privacy. Okay, so this is a very good beginning to tell about ethics. Ethics is something that is bigger than that, but I hope that you understand it. So the next thing we would like to introduce to you today is in the context of social responsibility. Okay, this has something to do very closely with what we talk about in ethics. Responsibility is something closer to what we should do for the sake of certain obligations. So as a student, what you should do is to try your best to learn what you can during the period of time of your college period to get yourself equipped for your future life. So whatever you do in class based on your coursework is basically a path to what you're going to do. You spend time here. So responsibility. Now, but social responsibility is something bigger than one person's. It's often referred to a collections of people. And in today's world, this term is often used together with the word starting with the letter C, corporate social responsibility. That means it's the kind of collective obligations that has to be demonstrated by a specific organization in a particular societal context. For example, what do we think those big casino resort hotel they're operating in Macau, earning so much, are supposed to do in the context of corporate social responsibility? Okay? A classic example is, people will say, well, they have done a lot. You see that every year they earn a lot, but they also pay a good proportions of their income to the government, so that the Macau government could have good income. And with that income, you can benefit. Particularly, take a look at your educations here. Do you know what? In Macau, it's very, very affordable to have a college education. College educations, you pay an amount which is called tuitions, which is far less than what the secondary school student has to pay to their secondary school. Have you checked that? Why is it possible? Because the government have done a lot of subsidy for each one of you, not just the permanent resident, but also for the foreign students. Why is it possible to do it? Because the government has good income. But now, we don't have that much income, so we need to face the reality that we might have some budget cut. Now, that is not the issue, it's corporate social responsibility. But the question is, what is meant by corporate social responsibility in the context of a society like in Macau? Here we are. I would like you to pay attention to the following very important video, which is very systematic, which is very good in the context of introducing to you what is CSR, corporate social responsibility, from a very interesting, what we call global perspective. Okay?
Mass layoffs and record profits at the same time, manager salaries, scarcity of natural resources, and imminent climate catastrophes, morally questionable advertising, child labor, corporate fraud, financial crisis, and the Occupy Wall Street movement. These are just a few examples you may have heard about under the topic of sustainability, business ethics, or corporate social responsibility. These themes raise questions about justice for current as well as for future generations. We want to ask, corporate social responsibility, CSR for short, what is this? This man made headlines a few years ago. In 2004, Angelo Ugolotti learned from investigators that he was chairman of the board of several companies set up by his employer, the Italian milk concern Parmalat. Angelo, however, had not even heard of those companies, and Parmalat was only responsible for the switchboard. You can imagine how the story goes. Corporate fraud at its best, bogus companies, cooking the books, bribery, accounts in the Cayman Islands, the whole works. The task of corporate social responsibility is to prevent these and other morally reprehensible practices which can weaken society, damage companies, and hurt employees. More and more companies have realized the relevance of moral practices in their businesses, even though they have not always sufficiently implemented CSR yet. Concrete preventative measures are often labeled risk management, a term more commonly used for avoiding financial risks and damage to a company's reputation. No one likes bad press, right? Thus, companies define clear rules, so-called compliance or value management systems. For example, you can accept a bottle of wine from the supplier, but you have to pass up a golfing trip to Hawaii. However, risk and compliance management are only one aspect of corporate responsibility correctly understood. Firstly, CSR is not just about preventing bad practices, like corruption and fraud and so on. Secondly, this approach does not question a company's business activities as such. In fact, compliance management could be an efficient control mechanism even in organizations like the mafia. The more challenging question is, how can companies contribute to a good society through good business practices?
Very good question. Remember that.
Oh, that's easy, they say. We'll create a charity foundation or donate a lot of money and thus do good. Wrong. That won't hurt and may even help, but it's not systemic change. The important thing is, CSR is about how companies make profits, not about how they spend them. Corporate social responsibility must not simply be the repair center of capitalism. It has to demand systemic change in a market economy. This requires a new role for the key players in this game. Companies must become not only economic, but also moral actors. What's required and important is a stronger integrative perspective based on a system of deontological values and which is closely related to the company's core business. This means social and ecological criteria must be taken into consideration. For example, in the treatment of employees, organization of the production process, offered and produced products and services, and responsible business practices of suppliers, the so-called supply chain. By the way, virtuous managers or the honorable merchant alone will not suffice. We need employees of integrity at all levels of the company, but we also need organizational structures and clear rules. But relying on a code of conduct is also short-sighted because in extreme cases, it means act according to some given rules, which is the opposite of ethical reflection, namely actual thinking about good and evil, right and wrong. In other words, CSR is always about both individuals and institutional structure. In business ethics, one speaks of individual ethics and institutional ethics. But isn't that unrealistic? Shouldn't the state do more to promote a good and fair society? Granted, it is unrealistic, and that's exactly why such questions are important. Business ethicists don't just ask what the world is like, but also what it should be like, how it ought to be. At the very least, we want to suggest where the journey should lead. At the same time, we want to make practical suggestions about how to embark on that journey. One speaks of questions of justification on the one hand and of implementation on the other, preferably in that order. The state, particularly through politics and law, can contribute to the implementation of corporate responsibility, but only within a limited range. If we look at society from a bird's-eye view, we can spot different social systems. The economic system, the political system, the justice system, for example. One can speak of the functionally differentiated society we live in. About 60 or 70 years ago, some German economist came up with an idea that led to the development of the social market economy as we know it, particularly in Europe. The thought that a market economy should be embedded in a political framework that determines the rules of the game. This underlying idea is still important, but it has become distinctly more difficult to rely on the state alone. Societal differentiation has progressed because most systems have internationalized. Globalization is the magic word that applies to most systems, but not all of them. Politics, and particularly law, tend to be bound to one country's borders, while the economy, above all, is highly internationalized and globalized. This makes effective regulation difficult. Thus, it is now not only about the classic rules of the game, but also about the moves of the players, the corporations, in a changed and changing world. And beyond politics and law, civil society, in particular NGOs, have gained a strong influence in the economy, as both vicious watchdogs and as partners of business. In the society of the 21st century, we find new, rather odd hybrid constructs under the notion of soft laws. These are collective individual commitments to comply with certain social and ecological standards, such as collective industry agreements or the UN Global Compact. So companies are supposed to operate responsibly. Is anything really happening? There is no clear answer to that question. The cynics say that CSR is like teenage sex. Everybody says they are doing it, but few actually are. And those who really do it rather badly. The truth is more nuanced, of course. In the area of corporate responsibility, there is also the good, the bad, and the really ugly. More and more companies deal with CSR and take the first steps towards responsible business practices. We can definitely observe a distinct effort, even though it is still a delicate little plant. And of course, there are still those who misconstrue CSR as a PR instrument and simply want to greenwash or bluewash their company. And unfortunately, there are still companies that don't give a damn about questions of corporate responsibility and which even trample on justice. Got all that? Let's sum it up. First, CSR stands for Corporate Social Responsibility. Second, CSR is based on the question of good business for a good society, today and tomorrow. Third, corporate social responsibility is not charity. It is about how companies earn their profits, not how they spend them. Fourth, it takes employees of integrity and appropriate organizational structures to realize CSR. It is a matter of individual and institutional ethics. Fifth, politics continue to play an important role. But in a globalized world, the effects of regulation can be limited. And thus, sixth, companies play an increasingly important role. Seventh, soft laws are new governance mechanisms based on companies' self-commitment. Finally, CSR has arrived in business practice. It is necessary to support these developments professionally, but also to provide critical perspectives with respect to them. The research on issues of corporate responsibility is still beginning, and future developments will be exciting to see. It is unclear whether a good and fair society can be created with the help of companies, but it can be created without them. Oh, we almost forgot. Besides corporate responsibility, there is also consumer responsibility. You can practice that the next time you go shopping. And there may be more from us on that topic.
It's quite an impressive video. It's very educational. It puts a lot of things together. Now, I tried to make it simple for you. I know that you've watched this particular video for almost 10 minutes. Normally, each person's attention span is not more than 15 minutes, okay? So I know you're processing a lot of the information here, and some of you might get a little bit tired. Now let me give you a very simple code to help you think about what you've learned here. And this code is from a former president of the United States. Unfortunately, he was assassinated in the year 1963, and his story was produced in the form of movie, and you've heard about this. His name is JFK, okay? Have you heard about JFK? Jack Kennedy, okay? He had a very wonderful thing in delivering speech, and he can make things very simple for people to understand. And here is what he said. Now, I tried to make it simple for you, and you link what you have heard and watched here to what he's going to tell you. This is what he said. In a very interesting speech to his people, the American, he said, "My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Have you heard about this? Okay? Do you understand how to put this very famous saying into your personal learning? You can say, ask not what your university can do for you. Ask what you can do for your university. Ask not what your family can do for you. Ask what you can do for your family. Now, in the context of what we learned here, CSR, each company, okay, in the world of capitalism, normally has to be very innovative to come up with something creative, to develop the business. And so there's one very famous saying, as a company CEO, they would say, ask not what your government can do for you, ask what you can do for your government. Where in the context of CSR, ask not what the world can do for you, ask what you can do for the world. What is meant by CSR? Towards the end of this video, they summarize it for you very nicely. 8 important points. It's not difficult for you to extract these 8 important points in your journal or in your note-taking. But it's very important that you think about these important points, only 8 here, and ask yourself this question: why do I need to learn this topic, CSR, in this general education course, Information Security and Privacy? And link this up with the previous video on ethics, particularly, and intellect ethics. Okay? But just not to make you lose anything, the important point that I use, the example I used beforehand, that in Macau, we can enjoy college educations with a relatively affordable price. Is it just because of the revenues the government receive from big casino business here, since they earn a lot? Now, if you try to think it along this line, as I suggest at the beginning, are we following the important context of CSR? The answer, let me tell you, is not. CSR is not about how those companies use their profit. CSR is about good business for good society. And we need to have a sustainable development in the society. Okay, you heard about, at the very beginning of this video, they talk about some corruption story, right? They talk about some bogus company which tricked people, got all the money, got away, okay? And then towards the end of that very simple introductions, they introduce the context of how can we do better? Do we enforce a lot of the ICACs around the world? You know what ICAC is all about, Anti-Corruption Agency, very famous in our country. Okay, this is only one mean, but to do it much more proactively, they introduce the context of CSR. And from this point onward, you're going to learn a lot of things from here, okay? Now, my job here is to make sure I give you enough for you to think about. Because your job, before the end of next week, remember I told you, in our first day, number 5 of this week, you're going to submit your work for the first learning contract by the end of next week, okay? So, and as I remind you, last time, you need to make sure you know who you are in the context of pair formations. Last time, I invite you to send me the informations of your pair, and many of you did, okay? And today, allow me to show you the pairing informations, okay? And the pair online forum you can use. The student pairing informations that I got from you is this. Each student, if you have already given me your pairing informations, you should see the pair number next to you, okay? If you're this person's Chloe, you have given me the pairing informations, you're now in pair number 5. Anson, that you're here today, if you're with this person, you have not given me these informations, your pairing status is considered as incomplete and you will not have any pair unless you give me the information as soon as today. Check your pair number. Each one of you has a pair number, okay? And once you got this pair number, you know that you now can start doing the pair-based discussions with your learning partner, studying to use this pair online discussion forum here, okay? In this pair online discussion forum, it is a forum for each pair that I have created for you. Up to now, I have created 11 pairs. So each one of you, when you got to this particular link, when you click on this link, you can enter into it because you are affiliated with a particular pair. But when you click on this link, you discover you can enter it. That means you have not given me any pairing information and you cannot still use it and use it to discuss with your learning partner yet. Now remember, discussions with your learning partner is important as part of the work you need to do in your first learning contract. Remember, after you have chosen your topic, you need to create a journal. You need to share that journal with your learning partner, get feedback, and with the feedback left in your discussion forum here, when you submit it, you just need to copy and paste all your discussion detail and in the form of Microsoft Word document, and then you can submit it in the submission link. You can see the submission link starting from this Sunday, okay? So for me, when I click into it, I can see that I have a total number of 14 pairs, but I have only activated up to 11 pairs because the remaining 3 pairs, I just make it as a placeholder for those students who are still not paired yet. If you look at the table here, okay, that I've just showed you, I get 7 students in this class have not been paired yet. For example, this X6 means this student has not given me the pairing informations. This student has not given me the pairing informations. Hyun, are you here today? Not here? Okay, Anson, you're here. Now you need to find a partner. How do you find a partner? You need to go to this table, look up the students with a pair XX and incomplete status, and talk to any one of them to make sure you got a pair, okay? So you need to, we have 7 here, okay? And then Juno, are you here today? Juno, okay? Not yet. We have, you can check your parent, and then Titing, are you here today? Not here? All right, so, and then, Nicholas, are you here today? Nicholas, not here? Okay, Jose, you're here today? So, Garbage, are you here today? Okay, you know that you need to pair. You two are going to pair. So send me the information in the forum. I'll set you up, okay? And then Tiger is okay, and Jose and Garbage, okay? So Juno, you might be the person's, not Juno, who's left out. But you see that we have, I checked the number of students in this class. We have an odd number of students. In other words, we're going to have 14 pairs, and out of the 14 pairs, there is 1 pair with 3 students. Okay? So since there's 1 pair that could accommodate 1 more students, I guess even though you cannot find any other partner who's not pair, you can ask for those pair if they're willing to accept you as the third element of the pair. Okay? So I'll give you some time to do it afterwards. So understand that this peer discussion forum is very important for you to complete your learning contract number 1, the part which you need to help up your learning partner. Okay? So remember, you need to sign up here by add a new discussion topic. In the new discussion topic, you just need to create my Parklet and copy this table, fill up the details of you and your learning partner, then I will create a pair for you. All right? So, are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. It's important now. We still have a couple of minutes. We need to deal with the topic of digital divide. So, a divide means is a concept that divide those who have something from those who do not have something. Okay? So I'm going to help you to understand the digital divide by inviting you to go home to read those links. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? But having said that, I'm going to use the class time to introduce to you what we could do to breach the digital divide. We know that there is someone who has something. We know that there is someone who does not have anything. But in the context of digital divide, we mean that we know that people who can get used to the computer and the intellect, who enjoy learning there, but there are a lot of people who do not have these resources, the computer and the intellect. So what can we do as an individual? The question is addressed to what can we, college students, do to bridge the gap, and what can we, college instructors, do to bridge the gap? Or better say, what can we, as the university community, do to bridge the gap? If we consider university as a social organization, what is the CSR of these social organizations? Okay, I'm going to give you a case study, all right? Put this case study under the big name called Learning the Surface Way.
Yeah, so I think I have a lot of experience about service.
I would like to make this world a better place. Like, there are lots of discontent, discord in our world, but by knowing more about each other, by stepping into each other's shoes, that you can really understand their needs, their concerns, what they want, and all this can help make, by mutual understanding, you can know more about each other and help making our world a better place, a more peaceful one.
If we want to have our younger generation more fruitful and more advancing towards and being more competitive with others, we need to do more.
I like to think of service learning as the closest to a complete education.
It posed a great impact throughout my life, that changing my attitude and strengthen my belief in helping others, and also staying strong when we have difficulties.
After the service, I really pushed to continue my thinking about problems and other things for now.
Even the service recipients, their impact will be very short.
True.
So it's a learning path that the students most benefit from doing those service learning things, right?
Realization, awareness, and self-development.
Find more yourself.
Service and learning together.
When you put academic components into service and let students learn about these academic components through giving service to people.
Service learning is a way to encourage students to really to put their knowledge in practice. So the learning part is the most important.
Service learning offers students the unique opportunity to engage with the society and rethink the meaning of their study and their role in society. In this episode, we will follow Dr. Nai, Dr. Chang, and Dr. Wu in the Service Learning Project, in which students visit and teach computing skills to children in Cambodia. Dr. Nai, Dr. Chang, and Dr. Wu will also share with us their experience of teaching service learning subjects and the challenges and rewards that come with it.
Service learning is rewarding, but I do have to say it is probably the most challenging thing in terms of teaching. First challenge is from the student level. In general, whenever we bring students on these subjects, we always have students whose idea is to go on there as a cheap holiday and just to play. We find that the reflective essays have been a wonderful way in dealing with them.
These days seems a bit messy, but you just make me know how to consider all others and make me know how to cooperate with you guys.
The reflection really helped us, and I really want to thank my supervisors and also their tutors. Yeah, they really helped us because every night we have meetings and all that kind of thing that really help us, and they really do other kind of reflection with us when we went back to Hong Kong.
Giving them a lot of reflection to do, making them really think upon what they were learning. I think that actually had a very positive impact upon the motivation of our students, motivating them to actually put themselves aside and actually serve and try to learn from this experience. So can you share with us about what you have learned?
You do not know the result if you never try. Just in case, if I do not go to Cambodia.
In the past, I was too target-oriented, like what I would like to do, what I would like to achieve. For some of the time, I may be quite reckless towards others' needs, like the service recipients' needs. I may not care too much about their needs, but through this experience that I learned that it is important for us to step into their shoes, to know more about their abilities, their needs, and to conduct their service projects in a more effective manner.
The other challenge that I can think of immediately is in terms of the challenges in terms of knowledge that we are dealing with. Another example also comes from this summer when we actually put together a project that involved bringing our students to this orphanage that was serving HIV/AIDS positive orphans. We gave a lot of training. We gave them a lot of preparation. We had doctors come in from Prince of Wales Hospital. We had the orphanage director come in to talk about the orphans and so on. They went in there within 3 seconds. They were with the kids. They were talking with the kids. They were playing with them. They were holding them. And I think that the biggest difference was the amount of preparation that we gave them.
As one of the preparation activities, students participated in a warm-up service at a local school of special education, in which they visited and played games with a group of mentally challenged kids. At the end of the service, they were given a debriefing by Dr. Nai.
Let me just ask a question on my own, okay? Who was not comfortable at the beginning? The reason why we brought you here is because think about this environment. This is a very normal environment, right? Look at how clean the place is. I wonder how many of our classrooms in Angkor are this clean. Now think about Cambodia. You are in a very different environment. I guarantee you it will be nowhere as clean as here. The kids will be something that you have not seen before. Some of the kids today, they were mentally challenged, but they were clean. Some of the kids in Cambodia will not be clean. Most of them will not be wearing shoes. You will not be wearing shoes. The environment will not be clean like this. There will be dust, there will be dirt everywhere, right? So in a way, the reason why we brought you here is because we want to see how you will react, how you will react to the challenge of being in a situation that is not exactly something that you are used to.
Well, I'm really glad that I come and be able to observe this particular project in this class. It is obvious that Professor Nai, Grace, Stephen Chen, Professor Chen had prepared them very well. The expectation of the student need to be well prepared. I think the staff themselves need to be well prepared. I think this is one lesson that I hope that at least I learned from this experience, and I certainly will try to encourage all the staff to remember that when they start designing a surface learning course.
Team, and as we shared just now, there are lots of problems in terms of teamwork, students working together. Throughout the process, the students actually learn how to work with each other, handle personal conflicts, handle differences of opinion, and through the process, they actually assessing each other. Sometimes you don't really need to go in and say, okay, who has been the leader? It is obvious from how they interact with each other, who has been stepping up. Sometimes we put this student in as a team leader. It turns out another person is actually a much more effective leader. And this we can see because we work alongside them and we can see them. And the assessment sometimes is actually quite easy because it is quite very obvious.
Then also, because we're a team, we need to know what happened during the conversation during the visit. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
I was just thinking about how students learn, how service learning connects to the academic discipline, and I think that one of the ways that it connects the most is that it actually lets students take whatever they were learning in the classroom and put it to real use. All of the stuff that is from pre-1 to all of a sudden starts to make sense, and that was because they actually had to understand this stuff in order to put it in place.
Most of the times in class, we lecturer only talk about some theories, and in fact we may not know how the theory works. But when we go into the real world and we work with that theories, and we find that, oh, these theories work like that.
And in some of our other projects, when we actually get students to go and teach, because we are from the Department of Computing, we ask them to go in and teach, programming or something like that. And really, one of the students came back and told me, said, wow, when I started preparing the lesson plans, when I started teaching, then I realized how many holes there were.
I remember in these few days I have taught my students, because I'm living in Hawaii, I taught my student about the programming. Yeah, and I really learned a lot from her, because I remember we revised the programming language, because I haven't touched programming for nearly one semester. Yeah.
Through those subsequent projects, they provide the triggers, the catalyst for students to eager to learn more, and then we can offer them more afterwards. That is the trick. I mean, we are not saying that all the subsequent projects can fulfill all the components of either professional knowledge. That is not necessary. But then it serves as a way to initiate and motivate our students. That is more important. That is the purpose of education.
Service learning is to use one's intrinsic value to bring out some extrinsic force that is fair to you, that is fair for you, but is essential for others.
Service learning can help you find more yourself.
I think that doing the service learning subjects are probably, even forget the subject, even the project itself is probably one of the most demanding things that I've had to deal with. I think the biggest thing is that it's one of the most satisfying things that I've ever done. It's one of the most challenging things that I've ever done, but it's also one of the most personally satisfying things. To see the students grow, to see how to actually watch them grow over the course of one summer while they are working with the projects. I remember one summer where you see the student at the beginning of the summer and you see him at the end of the summer, and you're like, wow, this kid is like two different people. And then watching them, start from being just simply participation to starting to coordinate, to starting to lead, and to start propose projects. And towards the end of his academic studies, he was actually going out and recruiting new projects back for us. And that is just so completely amazing. And I don't know, I mean, in many ways, I see our students as, okay, they're not my kids, but they're somebody else's kids. And, I'm sure that his parents would be happy to see him learning something like this. And as his teachers, it is the duty and the responsibility that society or our job has placed upon us. But at the same time, it's also just, I mean, what could be more satisfying than actually seeing us make an impact in somebody's life? Something that visible. You could teach like a half a dozen subjects, get a really good SIQ, and still not see that, because the students will not remember you after the subjects. But for the service learning projects, I've never had a student who went on the service learning and they could not remember me afterwards. That's not gonna happen.
I think it is important. Now I'm more convinced that particularly for academic staff who have never done it before, I would strongly encourage those staff to take time to come out to one of the service learning courses to understand and experience what this is all about before you get into the planning, before you get into the designing of the course on your own.
Well, let me add a number of comments and annotations to this. We start with introducing to you the context of digital divide. That means in the world, wherever you live, there will be a group of people who have the resources, particularly computer and intellect access, to enjoy this, to learn. But reality tells us there's still another group of people living in the same area as you do. They simply don't have the resources. So they don't have the computer, they don't have the internet resources, they don't even have the knowledge to start with. In this particular video, you see the adverts from the group of students, year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4 in the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, together with a group of course instructor, faculty staff. They would like to create an interesting project under the brand name Service Learning to recruit enough students to join in a team which will go to Cambodia every summer for 3 to 7 weeks to spend time in those local schools with the kids in which they don't even have electricity. And how could they expect to have computer or internet access to learn? What they did not tell you is they solved all this problem. They asked for sponsors from the big company in Hong Kong to donate mobile devices like the Samsung phone. And they also built specific servers, just like what the CTM Macau is doing to offer you the mobile phone service. And they buy dynamos, power generator, and they purchase the tri-rickshaw. It's a small motor vehicle to transport those devices to different schools in Cambodia. And they set up the power station, they set up the mobile work server, they set up everything, then they bring those mobile devices to every school, teach the kids how to use things like this, and they don't have the internet, don't worry, they download the whole Wikipedia into the server and use the local versions of the Wikipedia as the basis for the kids to experience surfing online. They learn a lot, okay? And these are students like you. So the question is, when we talk about digital divide, and we talk about the questions of how do we bridge the digital divide, this served as a very interesting video. Next time, if we have time, I'll bring you an interesting sharing by one of these students, but this time it's in Cantonese, after participating in this project, okay? And the question I would like to present to you today is, you need to connect what you learned today, studying from ethics, what is right, what is wrong, what you're supposed to do in the intellect, what you're not supposed to do, to the idea of responsibility, personal responsibility, social responsibility, with the idea of how, in what way can you do something that could be meaningful for your learning and also for other people in the context of digital divide. All right? So a lot of work, a lot of very interesting idea. The only purpose of today's class is to galvanize you to start doing online discussions with your learning partner, but whatever you believe it's very suitable for you to pick as your general topic. Okay? So allow me to take attendance and I'll let you go. All right? It's very exciting when you read the resources we have here. Okay? Today is day number 6. All right. Koi, thank you. Anson, thank you. Tracy, thank you. Alfonso, thank you. Neon, not here. Franco, not here. All right. Clears, thank you. Juno, not here. Shadow, thank you. Jury, thank you. Carol Wong, thank you. Henry, thank you. Steve, not here. Samko, thank you. Tina, not here. Marco, thank you. Maggie, thank you. Vincent, thank you. Jeff, thank you. Cherry, thank you. Waichun, not here. Sun, not here. Henry, thank you. And then Dong Yin, thank you. Carry on, thank you. Second page. Carol, thank you. Nicholas, not here. Gavin, thank you. Jose, thank you. And Tiger, thank you. Thank you very much. And you'll receive a reminder of what you need to submit by the end of next week. Okay? Thank you very much for coming back. See you next week. So that's it for today's CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy, day number 6.